Hi everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bloop. I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Laura.
And today we are going to be talking about It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. Now Laura and I recorded this episode like 4 months ago, and we had a mishap where we lost all the audio. So we had the video but no audio, so we have to re-record it. So please forgive us if we have forgotten a few things. I mean, we refreshed ourselves as much as we could, but we could slip a little bit. It's been some time since we've read this book, but we're gonna give our best shot. Okay?
Okay, we got this. Here at Bloop, we believe readers have a right to know what they're reading before they get into it. And what does that mean? Like, it's spoiler free, but what does that actually mean? It just means that content-wise, is this something that is gonna vibe with you? Is it something that you want to read before you read it? So, for example, is the level of violence, is like the language, the level of sexual content, is that all something that that reader can handle or wants to experience before they pick up that book?
Yeah, we believe it's a little bit more than just genre, you know? Like, I mean, romance, you could have a ton of different things in romance. I like really messy books, and Laura does not.
Nope.
Not her cup of tea.
Nope.
So I think that Laura and I make a pretty good pair because although we do like to read similar genres, our tastes are a little different on what we really like to read, right?
Yeah.
So I think that we make a really good team, and you'll probably see that in today's episode when we differ in opinion a little bit.
Yep. But we had similar findings.
Oh yeah, we do agree a lot too. So,
yeah, we definitely respect each other's opinions, and we definitely understand and appreciate where the other one's coming from.
Yeah, for sure.
So with It Starts With Us, Colleen Hoover, lovely woman, awesome author. Rebecca has found that you love Colleen Hoover. And for me, sorry, I touched my mic, Ron. She is hit or miss for me personally, and it's not because she's not a great author. It's just, as Rebecca said, for me, story-wise, I struggle a lot with chronic health conditions, with chronic pain, and a lot of times that can whittle down. I'm sure as listeners, if you fall into this category as I do, when you struggle with chronic pain a lot, sometimes that could affect or start wearing down on your mental health. And so for me, when I read, I like to read to escape. And so if I'm reading things that are a little too hard, real world, it adds to feeling down too much. And because I like characters, I think Colleen does a good job of helping you stick with characters. Mm-hmm. And so it's a little too real, and I feel too much of that, and I'm like, I can't be brought down too much. I have to read things.
Yeah, you don't want to start crying and then that.
Yeah, I need things to help me escape more.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm not saying that. Like, I just wanted to clear the air in terms of,
well, yeah,
why
for sure.
I feel that way.
Yeah, because of course you can handle reading really tough stuff.
Yes.
I just happen to really like it because I'm kind of sadistic, I guess.
Some people need some people I would assume need it to help them release emotion and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't need that help.
But I like happy stuff too. I'm not murdery all the time.
Of course. Of course. No, and that's why for me, her books are hit or miss because it just depends.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we won't get into Verity, but anyways.
Verity.
Let's get to our book that we are discussing. It Starts With Us. So quick little synopsis here. Lily and her ex-husband Ryle have just settled into a civil co-parenting rhythm when she suddenly bumps into her first love, Atlas, again. After nearly 2 years separated, she is elated that for once, time is on her side, and she immediately says yes when Atlas asks her on a date. But her excitement is quickly hampered by the knowledge that, though they are no longer married, Ryle is still very much a part of her life, and Atlas Corrigan is the one man he will hate being in his ex-wife and daughter's life. Okay. What rating did we give this, Rebecca?
We don't have our paddles.
No, it's okay. We don't need that. But what content rating did we give this?
This is adult, 18 and up. Because there's the content contains explicit and coarse language and adult themes such as persistent domestic violence, nudity, some alcohol use. So parents are advised to take this rating very seriously. There's detailed descriptions of physical interactions of a sexual or violent nature beyond fade to black.
So sexual content rating.
The sexual content rating was a 3.
If you are confused about where we get our ratings from or what our content rating is you can go to bluepodcast.com and we have a page dedicated for explanation for you.
It's all written out there. And the same with just the overall content rating too. We explain why we give things what we give them. So this is adult.
Because here's just to give you a reminder, because it has been 4 months. Opinions are great and they're valid, but they also differ amongst everyone. So we felt by giving, one solid place to kind of look at that won't differ with opinions, it's like a solid, concrete place that you could look at that won't differ based on the book or all these exceptions. It kind of, you can keep referring back to.
And it has nothing to do with our opinion. I mean, it's just facts. This is what is in the book based on our descriptions of the ratings themselves.
Yeah. So sexual content rating of 3. It starts with us, contains multiple sex act references. The sex occurs around the midway point or after in the average length novel. The sex scenes mostly focus on thoughts and feelings instead of just the act of sex and or the physical like feelings as a result. So it's not just sex in this book.
Exactly.
Okay. My star rating was a 3.5.
Mine's a 4. I rated It Ends With Us as a 5. So this one is a 4.
Okay.
For me.
All right. So we're going to do this first part spoiler-free, even though it's been out now for a while, but this next part is going to be relatively spoiler-free, and then we're going to get more into it. So here we go. So some of the things I enjoyed about the book, we kind of do this like in a compliment sandwich. I feel like Colleen Hoover did do a pretty decent job. I appreciated her really showing the hard reality that even if you break off of an abusive relationship, right, it doesn't mean that your life is just smooth sailing, right? Especially when children are involved. So I know I don't personally, it's hard for me to say that because I don't personally have experience with that. But there have been people in my life that I know who have dealt with situations like that. And you can do all the things that you want and all the boundaries, that you set and whatnot, and you can separate from that person. But when children are involved, that person
is there for 18 years.
Still in your life.
Yes.
18 years, you say 18 years, but then that kid gets married and you have to see them at the wedding or wedding planning or graduation from college, or there's still life events that are going to continue to happen.
It's just a lifetime.
Yeah.
It's a lifetime. So you kind of have to try to figure out how to navigate that the best you can. I like how Colleen, I said this in the last review, but I like how Colleen kind of comes at it from a victim or survivor, as I like to call him, point of view, to kind of get you in the headspace of what it's like to be in a relationship like that. Because a lot of people, if you've never been in a relationship like that, you can't understand why people stay, and it's not as simple as just get out, just leave. This person's awful, because it's a gradual incline of abuse, and it kind of snowballs, and before you know it, here you are, but it's like all tangled in love and emotions and feelings and so I liked how she came at it. I saw on some book talks how people thought that maybe this book was because the last book
romanticizing it.
The last book was romanticizing domestic violence, and this book was kind of like defending the first book or the answer to that or something like that. So some people were saying that, and I didn't feel that way.
I don't feel that way either, because for me, as somebody who hasn't dealt with it, I feel like it gave me insight into how you could get trapped.
Yeah.
How you can love that person and how you can be manipulated or gaslit or confused all the time. Like it helped me get insight and to have sympathy for the abused.
Right. Because oftentimes the survivor is judged by how long they stayed and what they put up with and how could you, and there's all these things, right? So I kind of felt like this book, it didn't romanticize the fact that she was in that relationship, because nobody wants to get in a relationship like that.
Right.
It's just, this is the cards that are dealt now, and this is kind of how we're navigating through that. And Lily's case, I believe, was the best case scenario. I mean, there's so many that aren't as lucky and have things figured out and don't have the support system she had. So,
yeah, she is lucky that she had the support system. And I like that she was open, and that like it was made Lily was open about her saying, I know I'm lucky that I have the support system.
Yes.
Because a lot of times I can imagine that you would feel alone or not supported, because, we saw this in book 1, so this is not a spoiler for book 2, that Ryle's sister came right alongside her. I don't know, I can imagine it would be often where like the abuser's family would probably support the abuser, because they wouldn't want to they wouldn't want to view that their brother or their son in that light.
And it also depends on the family members. Like, you might have parents that are kind of like in denial, but
I'm saying
you wouldn't have a sibling that
you wouldn't want to view that person in that light. Like it's almost like, no, that can't be.
I didn't teach them to be that way.
My son would never.
Why?
Yeah.
Yes. So
or my brother has never done anything like that.
Right.
I can't fathom that.
Exactly.
But that wasn't the case. Like, his sister was immediately like, I believe you.
Right.
I don't think that's always.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think
the situation.
Yeah.
And Lily was very much like, I understand how lucky I am.
And it worked too, because Ryle respected his sister too. So like it was easy for her to help defend, Lily in those situations, and Lily kind of felt like she had an advocate, right? So it was kind of
right.
It was, well, I like that.
That kind of leads me to some of the things that I did struggle with. So, although this shouldn't be spoilers, caution if it is spoilers for you. In book 1, we saw that Lily was like writing letters to Ellen, which I thought was cute at first and whatnot. She was younger. But like, now you have some women in your life, and now you're older, and we're still writing letters to Ellen.
I liked that part. I felt like it was kind of cathartic for her, because when you're going through any kind of recovery or any kind of thing like that, sometimes people say to write a journal. So maybe writing letters to Ellen was her journal. So I kind of felt like it was just kind of like a continuation from this is just a habit that she formed to kind of get her thoughts out and kind of make it all make sense,
Yeah.
So I liked the Ellen letters.
I think I would have liked it better if we saw her having some like real therapy. Right.
Well, yeah, she's totally needed real therapy. I hope that Ellen was not her therapy, because
I feel like that to me, because we didn't get to see it. Like, there was not real therapy.
Yeah, nobody went to it.
There was no discussion of therapy. There was no like mention. It was just like, this is my therapy. And I'm like, girl, you've really been through it. Like, from her like upbringing, what she's experienced, all the trauma, and then finding herself in her own abusive relationship, I was just like, Ellen's not going to cut it for you, sweetie. Like, I just would have liked that rep to be in the book.
Yeah.
The
next thing I want to say about the Ellen letters is kind of spoilery. So
So warning.
Spoiler. Okay. So yeah, spoilery. So she shared her Ellen letters from childhood with Atlas, which I thought was kind of cool, because I think it helped her say things to him that she maybe couldn't verbalize in person.
Right.
But he also used that same medium, to communicate things back to her. Like where did he go when he went into the military? I mean, how did that all work out? Like different things like that. So you kind of got to see Atlas's background from, those missing years, because we got Lily's point of view in the last book. This time we're getting Atlas's, and I really liked that. I mean, like, I jumped all over that. I really liked listening to his backstory.
I did like listening to his backstory. That was cool to get more from him.
What didn't you like about this book? What was some things that were not your cup of tea?
More things that were not my cup of tea. So I felt like there was too much of Atlas reading those letters. Because it wasn't just like we know he was reading the letters. It was like bringing the letters back for us to reread. So it's like we're filling space. I didn't like that there wasn't more of a consequence for Ryle.
Yeah.
As hard as that is, because Ryle's story is really sad, what happened to him. But I just felt like there was, I don't know. I just felt like that was hard for me. But Atlas was a real issue for me in this book.
Yeah.
A real issue for me in this book. I felt like book 1, we get a taste of a really strong, confident man. And book 2, he fell flat. It was like everything was too easy with Atlas. He handled every relationship.
He was so
everything was just this.
Yeah.
Oh, he was somebody's breaking into my restaurant. It's okay. Like
Ryle's here.
Ryle's here and everything. It's okay.
He just punched me in the face, and I'm just gonna sit here.
He just punched me in the face. I'm not gonna respond because I don't want any chance of looking like an abuser. And it's like, you can have boundaries and defend yourself without having all of that tied to you. So it was just really hard for me because it's like he handled every hardship too well. So I don't know if that was on purpose though.
And it kind of allowed Ryle to continue to be a bully.
Right, but he just came off as a doormat to me.
Yeah.
So Atlas just came off as a doormat.
Exactly.
I just find it very unrealistic, and I found it unrealistic that Atlas would confide in a 12-year-old boy.
Oh, that was really weird to me.
That really bothered me, especially, again, spoilers, when you find out you have a brother who's around the same age, and you're spending more time with this 12-year-old boy.
Who is his best friend's son, by the way?
His best friend's son, but I just felt like there was, I don't know. It didn't feel as authentic to me to include that with Theo when there was this missed opportunity to delve into the complicated nuances of now a blended family. I had this brother I didn't know I had. He's being abused by the mom who abused me. And now I have to take in the role of not just brother, but caregiver and
role model,
caregiver. It's got to be triggering to bring up past events that he went through. This whole thing, there could have been so much more time spent with that versus the letter, rereading letters from book 1.
Yeah.
And Theo's little small part, I felt like that was
I agree. I mean, I know guys don't like to talk to each other very much about real issues, but to go to your best friend's kid, that just seemed weird. I think Brad thought it was strange, but I mean, not creepy strange, but it just really felt weird.
It just felt like it wasn't. It just felt.
It didn't feel real,
authentic to the book.
No, and not at all. And I don't think realistic at all. I don't know that that's something a man would do. I mean,
yeah.
Some people liked it. I watched Book Talk again, and people were really loved that part, and I'm like, really? I agree. I didn't like it either.
I would have loved to see more time between the brothers because this is all about an abusive situation, and to me, the Theo thing, that's for a different book.
Right.
Everything that Theo was going through, I feel was part of a different book.
Exactly.
Anyways, was there anything else that I know you gave it 4 stars, so those for me. I will say too, for Atlas, at the end of the book, he wrote this whole thing for Lily with the wedding. I would have been really upset had somebody wrote that for me.
Okay, you're going to have to remind me again. I remember you having a problem with this the last time, but...
It was basically like... It wasn't like a promise of forever. It was like, we're going to do the best we can for now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to love you as much as I can for now, and, you know, until it was like, I don't, if I remember it correctly, and I was just like, ew. What is this? Let me throw this letter away.
Yeah, that didn't even hit me like that at all. Like,
I didn't like anything. No.
But now that you bring it up, that's kind of...
When you commit to me, marriage is a commitment of
forever.
Life, forever. We have committed through the good and the bad, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. And he's just like,
for now.
It basically came off as for now, or until you, if you decide, you know, like, maybe I'm totally off the mark. Maybe I'm completely forgetting this book, but I feel like that's how I remember it coming off. Let me look for a minute.
Another thing that I really liked how Josh and Alice worked. Josh is Alice's brother. I really liked, but, you know, Josh was, 12, right? I don't
know. I think Josh was a little older, maybe
13, maybe. But I don't know that he was angry enough. I mean, I know that he was breaking into stores and all that, but he seemed like, you know, when he went to go live with Atlas, it just seemed like to me that he might, as a young teen, that he might have had a little bit more problems than he was displaying. Like, I know that
hold on, I will say,
in his defense, he was going to school and he was like...
Well, Theo did help, like...
And he defended a lot of kids that weren't able to defend themselves.
He wanted to get into fights. Yeah, he got into fights.
Yeah, he did. But it was to defend the other kids that were getting picked on.
Sorry to interrupt really quick. If you remember what I'm talking about with the letters, if you would comment below what I'm talking about, if you remember what it said, please, because maybe I'm completely off the mark, but it didn't feel like a forever. I promise you forever.
I was probably too busy crying anyway to even care about the letter.
And then what she's saying, if you agree, comment below if you agree with Rebecca, if you feel like Josh was angry enough. I personally felt like he was. Kids are pretty resilient.
They are, but I thought that he would display a little bit more. I did like what Atlas did with Josh when he was like, I really want to live with my dad. I just want to go live with my dad. And then, you know, Atlas finds the dad, and then they go to the dad's house, and they're sitting outside in Atlas's truck just watching him, and he let Josh make his own decisions. You know, he told his side of the story. This is what happened to me when I was younger. Granted, they don't have the same dad, but Atlas did experience him as a stepfather. So this is what happened to me. It might be different for you. I don't know. Like, and just kind of let him kind of make his own conclusions. And the whole time he's kind of like white knuckling the steering wheel going, oh, kid, please come home with me because this is not a good situation for you. But I liked how that all came out, you know?
Yeah.
And he ended up having to write a family or do a family tree, and he was struggling with that. He didn't know how to make his family tree.
I did love the whole family tree.
And then and that's when he said, "It starts with us." Like it starts with us with the family tree. And
that was
the
really
tree,
good.
And it was him, and it was Alice, and then it was Lily, and Emerson, the baby.
Yeah.
So
that was really good.
Loved that part.
That was really good. Back to like the characters. Did you like Lily in this book still?
Yeah, I did.
I did too.
I did.
I really, again, like I said in the beginning of this episode, I truly sympathize with her, and I really liked how she created that list, if you remember. She created a list.
Oh yeah, the list.
To refer back to, because Ryle was really good about putting on like his good face, right? Because he loved her. He wanted to be back with her. So he was putting in the work, right? To confuse Lily. So Lily's confused a lot of times. So she would refer back to the list to remind herself, you left him
for these reasons.
Because of these reasons.
Yeah, I think that was brilliant, because oftentimes when you're in that situation and you're getting love bombed, right?
That's a good word, love bombed.
You're getting love bombed, and you want so bad to believe them because you love them. You're wanting to go back to the way things were. Like the whole time you're waiting, you're wanting to like wake up from this nightmare and hoping that you can just go back to the way things were. So when you are hearing this stuff and they're saying all the right things and they're apologizing and all that, it's like, man, don't get roped back in because of all these reasons. So I loved how she would always go back to the list before she started to let herself, dream of a better life, or maybe he's changed, or maybe it's going to be better this time, or that was brilliant.
Definitely brilliant. And I think it helped that she was able to see her mom in that situation for so long, and it gave her I don't know if I can say it this way, but gave her like an upper hand to have had sit back and observe so she could think of skills that she can implement. So
where is the therapy? How did she learn to do that?
I don't know.
How did she learn to do that?
I don't know, but it was pretty brilliant to think of doing something like that so she didn't keep falling into that cycle.
That cycle, yeah.
So that was something that I really liked with the whole It Starts With Us. It was choosing to break that cycle and starting anew, because you can just keep tumbling in the dryer and just keep going, So I did really appreciate that, and I did like to see Jenny, her mom, get a chance at a new healthy love for the first time in her life, and how Jenny and Lily's relationship really bloomed.
Yes, bloomed. Lily Bloom. Jenny Bloom.
Yeah.
Bloomed.
So that was really cool, but I also sympathize with Lily because introducing Atlas must have been so scary for her, because that was kind of the point of contention, right? That was what made Ryle blow his lid.
And he was jealous of her the whole time. The whole time in the last book, he was jealous. Anytime they would argue, it was always about Atlas.
Major abuse surrounding Atlas in book 1. And so very proud of her for sticking to those boundaries, and how scary it would be not knowing when Ryle would rear his monstrous side, right? That anger.
And she was probably also scared because again Atlas has been even keeled, not really asserting himself, and being a little bit more, dominant in areas that he needed to stand up for himself and her. Yeah. Right? So Lily was probably like, I wonder if Ryle's going to hurt him. Exactly. I mean, if Atlas could have just shown a little, I think it would have been better.
Yeah,
on all accounts.
If he just came off a little less of a doormat, it would have been better.
Yeah, it would have been so much better. I know that the last time we recorded, It Ends With Us, going into It Starts With Us, you were worried about a safety issue with Emerson. It
just sucks, is what I was saying. Because, it ends with them having this baby, and she's like, I still want a divorce. And it's like, we very much know that.
And she was worried about him maybe getting too angry while he had the baby, and Emerson not being able to talk yet.
She had never reported him.
Right.
So at that point, legally, she's not allowed to keep her baby from the dad.
Well, yeah, and it's a custody issue, so a judge would have to hear the case anyway.
Right.
And just because, and in Ryle's defense, as if there's any defense for Ryle, but just because he's violent with Lily does not mean he would be violent with Emerson. Now, of course, you can't know that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a gamble when you're talking about kids. Do I even want to find out? In my opinion, I wouldn't want to find out.
But they had set up, I think she did a good job setting up there were boundaries in place.
And she had it
Alyssa and Marshall, the sister and brother-in-law.
He wasn't allowed to have overnights.
No overnights.
Until Emerson could talk.
And he was always usually with Alyssa and or Marshall.
Yeah.
When he was with Emerson was the baby?
Emerson.
Yeah. So it still sucks, though. And then I know he wanted, I can't imagine. I will say, though, that her writing is really good. And like I said, something I really appreciate is you really get an insight. I feel like with this duology, more so than the other books I've read of hers, you get more insight into more of the characters, like their whys and their goals, their stakes, the stakes and motivations for them. And she does a really good job of helping you have some empathy for all the characters. Because even Ryle, we hear his story, not acceptance,
Right.
right? Not excuses, but empathy, right? So we know why and how they're acting. So
Right.
I really did appreciate that from her. I did also appreciate that, like what we talked about, that there is a major difference, and I think she did a good job pointing this out. There's a difference between being in a rough season and being stuck in a cycle. So I love that, again, most of these characters were able to break that cycle, and they know with the whole family tree, like it starts with us. And that was like very definitive of we are breaking this cycle. And we're choosing this
Right.
new life. And there's just something to be said for like the trauma bonding that family, Lily, Atlas, Josh, and Emerson, are going to have, with Lily's mom too, going to be able to be a part of that, all getting to start fresh and new. And then how Colleen pointed out through these characters that just leaving an abusive relationship doesn't mean that the pain just, everything's beautiful and lovely and my
Right.
life is just so great now and everything's so easy, because life after abuse is still marred by the reminder of the abuse. So now she's going to have that scar around her tattoo. And maybe you don't have any physical scars, let's say, right? But that reminder, like every time she's with him, like, there's like, she's like flinching, like, oh, if he moves, is he going to hit me? And, or just, I don't know, just the reminder.
And also, you've still got years to go with this
She's
person.
got a lot of years.
So it's like, you're trying to work on forgiving what has already taken place and moving forward. But there's going to start coming other instances that are constantly ongoing. Not to say he's never going to get better or whatever, but I'm just saying there could be future instances.
Because it was very apparent that she has to do life for many, many, many years with Ryle at this point.
Right.
And so, but I did love that Colleen did paint a picture of hope that, yes, you can heal from this.
Yes.
Yes, you can have a happily ever after, however that looks for you. But there is choice involved. Like, you have to choose that.
I think,
and you have to be in a position to choose that. You have to be ready for that. And I do, like I said, I do think there was some falling short with that. Obviously it would take therapy and surrounding yourself with a good support system. And I don't know how that looks for everybody and who has access to that, but it will take a lot of effort. But in the effort, there is reward.
Yeah, so. I think that I like how Colleen was able to highlight abuse from the mind of the abused, and in an inspirational way, like inspiring those that are going through it, right? If you're actively in abuse, right?
Yeah.
But also the importance of having boundaries, a support system, like you said. And I will tell you too that therapy is an absolute must. You've got to go through therapy. Even if you don't feel like you did anything wrong, you've got to go through some therapy to come out on the other side of this, to get tools, to build your support system, all that stuff.
Because you're bleeding and you still got to heal up.
Yes. So, and you can, it's important to be around, some like-minded people that have been there, just all of that. So I can't stress enough how important therapy is.
Yeah, well, that's going to wrap it up for us.
Yes.
We talked a little longer than we thought we were going to. But we'd love to have your overall comments and what you thought of the book. If you would please comment below or message us, email us, and let us know. Do you agree? Do you disagree with anything that we've said? Do we change your mind on anything? Do you want to change our mind on anything? So let us know. Interact with us. We'd love to have this conversation with you. But again, bloop.podcast.com is our website. You can hit us up. Same handle on any of our social media, Instagram, TikTok. We're on all of it. So
yes.
On all the things. And we look forward to seeing you again
in our next episode.
Yes. Which will be...
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, until next week, you guys have a good one.
Bye and God bless.